Welcome to Inside Plug, the podcast where independent creators and entrepreneurs connect and inspire. I'm your host, Devon Jones. Today on our show, we have actor Dominic Ignagni. Dominic,
It's
welcome to the show.
good to be here. Thank you.
Dominic, just want to clear up. Did I pronounce your last name the right way?
It's pronounced Ignani. You were close. You were close though.
Ignani. All right, awesome. All right, my apologies. All right,
That's all good.
Dominic. Just want to let you know, just like we tell all the actors that come onto the show, we love actors. Y'all play a big part in
Thanks.
production, and you have no idea how difficult it can be for directors and producers to find that actor to tap into that role. So once again, we want to let you know we love actors. Thank you for all that you do.
No, thank you. Thank you.
All right, Dominic. So we have some projects here, mainly theater productions, and that's great. Because we like to mix it up a little bit. We have some theater actors, some film actors, and you actually have a little bit of both. But before we
Mm.
discuss those projects, we want to find out more about you as an actor. When did you know that that was a career path for you?
Uh, I think for a long time I didn't even realize that it was an option. I'm from a very rural area, and a lot of the jobs that people work around here are, hands-on. Uh, 12 hours plus a day. And theater and acting is this industry that's it's so broad and sprawling, and there's no for sure work in it. So I guess I just never really thought of it as a career path until I was about probably like 13, 14, just getting into high school. And I was like, it's the activity, it's the hobby, it's the life that I love the most. It's the world that I love being in. To be able to explore a bunch of different things and actually talk to people uh, and learn about them. That's what I wanted to do. So I think around when I was 13, 14, when my mind was actually starting to get smart, I think.
I love it. So let's dive in a little bit more about that. So you said at that age, that's when you knew. Like, was it anything specific, like a film, a certain character, a production that you saw?
Hmm. I mean, I've been watching films all my life. My dad's a huge film buff, and that kind of just rubbed off on me. We always had these we had this VCR and everything, and we had these tapes, and I would watch the same tapes over and over and over again. And of course, they were Lord of the Rings or old timey musicals like Chitty Chitty Bang Bang or Singing in the Rain, stuff like that. Um, and I guess if I'm talking about that, I really loved Gene Kelly at that time, and the way that he engulfed the screen. Like, artists like painters talk about negative space on the canvas. Gene Kelly is like a painter when he gets on the screen, and he fills out every bit of that frame, every corner. I could look up at the top right corner of the frame, and Gene Kelly has like a finger or some sort of digit in that frame. And yeah, I love Gene Kelly at the time, and he sort of brought me um into dramas. I'm Italian, so I obviously gravitated. I instantly watched, Goodfellas and Godfather, and I saw Al Pacino and Robert De Niro up there, and they do that same thing that Gene Kelly does, but in a very like real um way that holds a lot of gravitas when they're on there. So, I would probably say any of Gene Kelly's work really got me into it and got me excited to do this.
I love it. I love it. All right. So yeah, with that's a perfect transition. Let's jump into these
Sure.
projects you got here because
Let's
they're
do it.
they're they're amazing. All right. So this first one I want to talk about, A Royal Showdown. How was experience working on that production and how was playing the character in that play for you?
Yeah, A Royal Showdown was a short film project that we did in at LIPA. I go to Liverpool Institute of Performing Arts. It was a short film project. It was our period piece project, and we got to take um, pieces that we were inspired by from different period pieces. And me and my partner Gabe, we chose a scene from Versailles, and we rewrote some bits, and it was really trying to explore period dramas because there's a different way you act in them on screen than you do in naturalistic work. Um, it's you have to hold that decorum of the time, and with that experience in particular, it was very hard for me to find that level of like properness as I think as an American, because I don't know if you feel this, but when I go to a different country, uh, I don't feel like we have the same, or I don't have the same like their level of manners as they do, or I'm not uh, abiding by the decorum that they set out. And I think as Americans, we are very much, very to the point, very blunt at times. And the way that you talk in period dramas is you talk around the things that you really want, and it's all subtext and it's all that. So it was very hard for me to find that, especially in the physicality and effect, and especially in that scene that we were doing, where the entire time we were just sitting, and it was just looks, and it was just micro movements, and a little flick of my eye tells a different story than what I'm trying to tell right now. So, and on top of that, I was also putting on an RP accent, which was also hard because I'd never tried to delve into that accent before. And it's very different to doing it on stage and doing it on screen, because on screen you can tell when it's bad. And I don't know if it was the best, but I did it, and I'm proud that I did it. And with that project, I found the ability to add more subtext to my acting, and I really appreciated doing that work.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
Speaking of the project, for the audience who's unaware and haven't seen it, could you share just a brief of what it is, a Royal Showdown?
Yeah, yeah, it's basically it's a scene we pulled from Versailles for a project, and we rewrote some bits so that fit a little bit more with what we were trying to achieve with that decorum and trying to find that. Um it's basically Versailles is about Louis the 14th, King of France, who started this age of the sun, and he was the Sun King. And it's him facing off with his enemy William of Orange, played by in the Royal Showdown that we titled it, played by my friend Gabe, who's gonna be in a big production coming soon. Little shout out to him. But it's basically two great enemies facing off against each other. Their armies are looking at each other just outside this church that they've met in. And it's basically them discussing how this is going to go out. Are they both going to die here? Are they going to both meet a truce? Are they going to backstab each other? So it's basically that tit for tat, that back and forth of these great powers together colliding in this monumental moment.
Awesome, awesome. I love it. And also, congratulations to Gabe getting that role, that big production.
Congratulations to Gabe.
All right, Dominic. So now let's talk about this next project, A Laughing Matter.
Mm.
How did you become a part of that project, and how was the experience on that one?
Yeah, actually, another project we did at Lipa. It's one of our third year projects. And one of the best parts about that project is we got to bring in an outside director. We brought in Nikki Miles Wilden from well, wherever. She's basically everywhere doing a bunch of work. She's awesome. She got brought in, and we worked with her on this farce. A Laughing Matter is basically it's a farce set around the time of David Garrick, and when he was just at the tail end of his tenure as the Drury Lane manager. And it's set around his various affairs and his dealings around that time. Uh, the show is a farce, and the show was written for a small cast, but there's about 20 characters in it. So we seven in the cast were double cast, triple cast. I was playing three characters. I played David Garrick's mentor, Charles Macklin, an Irish actor. And then I played um, the politician Edmund Burke, and I also played the Duke of Kingston. And in that project specifically, because it was a farce, I wanted to play off of the a little bit of the meta that people know that I'm American. And if people know that I'm American, well, then I need to play off of that a bit, and I need to not be American in any way and sort of use some of the archetypes that I see nearly every day living over there. So when I was playing Charles Macklin, the Irish actor, I was doing a Donegal accent, and that accent was crazy to learn because I had to find someone who had the Donegal accent and someone that I could sort of mimic in a way to play this. And I eventually found something, my friend Keelan at school, and he's from Donegal, and I was able to play off of him, and I was, oh yes, I can pull off that. So then I learned this Donegal accent. And then for Edmund Burke, I decided to go down the route of doing a John Lennon impression, which was a rogue choice. I was going back and forth whether I go deeper into um, the actual person who was a conservative politician, and that needed to be acknowledged in this space of the theater world, or do I go down this way of do I take this conservative voice and sort of morph it with someone who was very liberal in order to bring people in uh, to sort of, see how the audience would react to what he's saying, what he's actually saying, if he has a kind voice. And I was sort of playing with that, even though I didn't agree with the actual person's ideals. I wanted to bring people in. And then there was the Duke of Kingston, who I really, since doing a Royal Showdown, I really wanted to play with this high status character again with that RP accent and really dive into it even more. And I found when I was doing research for the Duke that all he wanted to do was play cricket, and that the actual person that this character is based off of um, didn't want the power at all, but he used the power to try and basically get rid of the power. And that was interesting to find out because it was again playing with that decorum. Um, and so all of those combined really stretched and morphed my I think my acting ability, and I was able to wrap my head around three characters all at once. And it gets me excited for the next project where I can play just one person,
Oh,
basically.
I love it. All right, Dominic, before we jump into these next projects, could you share with the audience and the listeners where could they find some of your work at? Do you have an Instagram, IMDb, any social media outlets that you want to share with us?
Yeah, I got an Instagram. We just finished our show reel, so I'll be putting that up there soon. Um, I'm always looking for stage productions. Right now, I'm doing stage productions at Lipa still. So if you want to come in February to see our next production, Summer Folk, that'll be up around Valentine's Day. Um, I'm gonna be putting a lot more. I got a YouTube up as well. It's just Dominic Ignagni under my name, so more videos will be going up there. Um, yeah, and basically I'll always be posting on whatever I'm doing. So whenever anyone sees anything, please see, because that's nice.
Awesome. Stay connected with Dominic. Check out those projects. All right, Dominic. So this next one is titled Flesh Code.
Mm.
How was the experience working on that one?
Yeah, Flesh Code was a I think very it was a very unique experience to anything I've ever done. It was a fully devised piece. Uh, we also brought in um, two directors. We brought in Filter Theater, uh, and it's Ollie Dimsdale and Victoria Mosley. And we brought them in, and we were looking at what AI and its play is on basically everything in society right now. And that was basically our like headline. What is AI and how does it play with everything that everyone does and interacts with? Um, so this fully devised piece, this company of 20 we all split off individually, and we were told, okay, we need to write and research, everything we see, and write from our own experiences, and write all this research down that we find about AI and its play and what everyone does. And then we got given specific characters that we were going to research, caricatures and archetypes. So I was given the archetype of the Maverick, which was a sort of it was a quasi Elon Musk, Peter Thiel type. And so I took this, I mashed them together, and I was looking at these two men that work in AI and work as these big tech companies, and how their relationship is with everyone around them. And I was working based off of their you know everyone has this strive for power in one way or another, and how can I connect to these two people that seem to be you know have unlimited funds and unlimited ability to do what they want, and what were their motivations, and how did they play with all the other characters that seem to be, whether they were everyday people or whether they were also colleagues of this person. And I was basically dove deep into the base needs of the human person, and that base needs of that human person was, you know I just want security, and I just want safety. And isn't that what everyone's looking for? Whether you're this person or that person, we're all similar in one way. So I pulled that out of that project, and uh, it was a collage. The whole project was a collage of all these different people meeting under this headline of AI, and my character was fighting for it because he wants that security, and he thinks it's gonna secure him for the rest of his life, and secure his family line and his family name, and legacy, and what comes after you, and all that. And it was a project that brought in everything that I think humans need and what humans want all together, and it's shown through all these collages. Um, some great research and some great performances that were put on by everyone that I go to school with, and it was a great. I'm really proud of the show that we put up, and it was a great experience. Um, and I wear the T-shirt nearly every day that we got out of it because I was that proud of it. So
Wow.
yeah.
So, Dominic, I have a question. What would you say has been an obstacle that you overcame throughout these productions so far?
Uh, yeah. I I actually think about that question. I ask that question to myself all the time. And I instantly go to a million things, because I think as a young actor in the time we're living in, we beat up on ourselves so much. so much, and I can name like a million things that I could work on, and obstacles that I could work on. But then that answers my question every time I ask that and say that to myself, because my main obstacle is my self-doubt. And my main obstacle is the fact that when I'm going into production mode or I'm getting ready for a character, I never feel like I'm doing enough, and I never feel uh like anything I do is clicking, or that it's driving the story or anything. And then that takes me out of it, and then that leads to more things. So my main obstacle, and if anyone's listening to this, my main thing is like, just, it's so easy to say and it's so hard to achieve. It's just trust yourself. It's just trust in what you're doing. And if you ever think that, you need to be unique and you need to find what makes you unique, you are already that. You're already that. And I have to tell myself this every time I do my art is, me as a person is unique. I'm just the product of my parents, and they're the product of their parents, and so on and so on. And that creates unique people. So just you as your person is you. And that, I think, believing in yourself and knowing that you're doing enough will give you the confidence that you need to step on stage and be in the moment. And it'll give you the instinctiveness and the spontaneity that you need to survive. And it'll definitely give you the peace of mind that you need to last in this industry. Because it's, you know, not that I know a lot. I'm 21, but it's hard. It's hard.
Love
So
it.
I would say,
Love it. Great answer. Yes, that's exactly what we are here to help with. And, helping these artists, these creators, these entrepreneurs find themselves, believe in themselves, and most importantly, trust themselves. Great
yeah.
answer. I love it. All right, Dominic. So now we have this project. It's titled Fractured.
Mm,
How was the experience working on that one?
yeah. That was a small student production, small short film uh that I was a part of. It was looking at I really gravitated towards it when I auditioned, because it was a very um it was just like, there was a simple story, there was a simple like motivation to it, and uh it didn't need a bunch of set, and it didn't need a bunch of um extra added to it. It was just a guy who lost his partner and couldn't accept it. He couldn't accept that he lost his partner, and he spiraled, and he spiraled because of it. And the movie is about him basically chasing down the idea that his partner's still out there. And it was something that uh it was dealing with grief, and it's something that I really am lucky enough that I got to explore, because I'm very privileged in that manner that I haven't lost a bunch of people in my life, and I acknowledge that. And in a bunch of these projects, I think it's a privilege again, and it's a pleasure to explore that. If you haven't experienced that, and you haven't known that type of life where you lose a bunch of people in your life, then what better way to understand someone and have empathy for someone than to do a project where you can learn how to empathize with them, and go and talk to people who have lost people, and learn about their experience, and actually listen, not for the sake of, I'm doing this project, uh, tell me about your experience, but listen for the fact that this project gives you the ability to talk to those people. It gives you the ability to educate yourself, and, you know, use your privilege to have empathy, and then make sometime in the future pass that on, and pass on that empathy, and try and help people that come after you. um and that project really helped me understand um how people feel, uh and how they continue to feel after they lose someone. It's not, when someone loses someone, it's not, they feel, you know, like crap for, a week, a month, they can feel that for the rest of their lives. It never really goes away. It's just, it's this perpetual thing that, we as humans are, we have to deal with. We have to, and just learn to cope in a way, um, and talk to people about it, and don't shove it down. And communication is key. um and that's what I took away from that project, and it was nice to explore.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Dominic, we're at that part of the episode where I ask this question. What is a book, a TV show, a film, or a play that you recommend?
Oh, um i just rewatched I just rewatched Lawrence of Arabia like a week or two ago. I think everyone should watch that film. There's some problems with it. Alec Guinness in it. That shouldn't be the casting. But everything I'm saying about like learning to have empathy, and um, talking to people, and educating yourself so you can pass it on. That's what Lawrence of Arabia is about to me. It's this sprawling, epic story. You know, Peter O'Toole, is amazing in it, and it's this story about, the I guess, the fear of the unknown, like, but also the fear of you not wanting to know, the fear of you holding yourself back from understanding other people, and then you know not even trying, and just acting on your ignorance. So I think everyone needs to watch Lawrence of Arabia. I think a book, I'm gonna keep going. I think a book that all young actors need to read. I think young actors need to read Lecoq's, any of Lecoq's books, Lecoq's Moving Body. Um, it, for a young actor trying to dive into a character and struggling to dive in with your whole self, you need to read that book, and learn how people move, and why they move like that, and what's the rituals of cultures that make people move like that, and how does that change their thinking and their voice. It's yeah. Yeah, I think that those two things have been very influential to um what I try to do, because obviously I have no set process yet.
I love it. Love it. Thanks for sharing all of that. All right,
Mm,
everyone. That's been our episode today of Inside Plug. Dominic, once again, thank you for joining us and sharing your journey with us.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It's been awesome to rant.
It's been a pleasure listening. All right, everyone, you know where to find us every Tuesday, 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're on YouTube, Spotify, all those great podcasting platforms. Check us out. All right, everyone, you know the motto. Stay inspired and keep creating. Inside Plug, signing out.